And we bring in our studio audience for reaction. How many think a tipping point, constitutionally, as this president overstepped his bounds? Hands up high. Who says no? You're a lawyer?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Mistakes happen every day.
Yeah. So the president can change the health care law on his own, unilaterally, doesn't need to go to Congress. Why do we have Congress?
Well, you asked the question, are we at a tipping point? There are some very odd things that take place in the Constitution on the subject of executive order. Clearly, the Congress is given the power to do these things. However, there are additional provisions, one in particular, that allows the president pretty expansive opportunities in certain emergency circumstances. The other issue is...
Wait, 27 times we've changed Obamacare. Is that an emergency? Anybody think?
Well, yeah, but it's not...
President Obama ran in 2008 saying that he opposed all of these executive orders, that he wanted a government by and for the people, and that he wanted a transparent process. Why did we have a revolution and get rid of King George if we now have President Obama just signing off?
You're crossing the politics with the question. The question is, can he do these things? You're absolutely right. He did run against those things. You're absolutely right. Politically, it is a retreat. But when you get to the legalities of it, so far, he really hasn't come anywhere close to a constitutional crisis. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but we're nowhere near it.
I think that it's actually disgraceful that the President of the United States is giving speeches saying, if Congress won't do this through the democratic process, I'm going to do it by executive order.
By the power of the pen, I'm president, I can do whatever I want. Deneen, hi.
Sean, I see individuals on a regular basis across the country, Tea Party individuals and other political events. People are tired of this runaway government that we are under. NSA spying on us, IRS intimidating people. We are totally at a tipping point. Americans are tired of it.
What about Republicans, Monica Crowley? They have the power of the purse. They don't seem willing to take the president on, for example, if he's changing laws, or he says we're not going to enforce the immigration law, or he says he's going to remove the work requirements for welfare, or, of course, then targeting conservatives.
Yeah, doing it all unilaterally, by the way. There are a few strong, courageous Republican voices like Senator Ted Cruz, Senator Mike Lee, Louis Gohmert in the House, but they are few and far between. I'm not so sure that the Republican leadership understands what they are up against here with this president. This is not your father's or grandfather's Democrat in Barack Obama and, frankly, Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid. This is a completely different ball of wax. What they seek to do, in the words of President Obama in 2008, fundamentally transform the country, transform the very nature of the American character and the American democratic process. And I'm not sure the Republicans understand what they're dealing with here. And if they do, they're not willing to take it on.
I think they're timid. I think they do understand all these things, but I think they're afraid to take him on for fear of a backlash. Doug Schoen.
I think you're absolutely right. We don't have a select committee on Benghazi. We don't have one on the IRS. All these scandals that you speak of are real scandals, but they've faded away. The Republican Party has only one philosophy, which to me is bankrupt. Let Obama self-destruct, don't have a positive message or agenda, and hope we win the election.
I don't disagree with one word he said. I am disappointed the Republicans do not have a positive vision agenda that says, if you elect us, we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, Dr. Siegel.
I think there's two issues here. First of all, there's the violations he's making where he's overstepping his bounds, like the issue of the First Amendment violation, the issue of delaying mandates left and right. Obamacare is put into place, and then he illegally violates the law that he himself helped pass. On top of that, there's the issue of we can't believe a word he says. Those two things go together, that he lies. You get to keep your doctor. You get to keep your insurance. You know, this thing is going to save you money. All the lies together with the violations.
But why do the American people take it?
I don't know why they take it. I don't.
Unger's dying to jump back. Go ahead, Mr. Unger.
I'm going to give you an alternative reason for why you're not seeing this crisis. I wrote an article recently in my Forbes column, and I quoted a senior policy advisor, domestic policy advisor, saying that if the Congress isn't going to get this stuff done, then the president will. Except, you know whose advisor it was? Ronald Wilson Reagan's.
But nobody has done it to this extent.
Yes, no. Reagan did it way before.
Well, and I was in the Nixon administration the last time we were accused of having an imperial presidency.
She was only 12 years old.
I was a really great, smart 12-year-old. But the difference is the media was in a different place. The media criticized. The media took very seriously their job as the watchdogs of liberty. Now what do you have? The president does whatever he wants, and the media are like trained seals at the zoo, applauding everything he does. And that's why.
But I think that's slowly changing it. But KT does point out that historically presidents have had a very adversarial relationship with the press and have tried to curtail freedoms and see where there's wiggle room to be able to try to keep everything as private as possible and control that message as much as they can. That's what they're doing. But why people don't care? Because they see that politicians in Washington don't hear their voice. They're about themselves rather than about the people. There's very few public servants, and Monica mentioned some, that are really in it for the people, and we need to elect more of those.
Why have the Republicans, why they seem to have made a decision, at least generally speaking, with the exceptions that Monica mentioned. They seem to have made a decision, don't rock the boat, let's get to the election.
Exactly, because they want power.
So
That's
they're
what this
just
is
as bad
about.
as the Democrats?
As some of them are, absolutely.
Some of them are?
Yes.
Yeah. Father Morris, hi.
I don't know about politics, but I know that philosophy and that ideology matter. And I don't believe that President Obama is the devil. That's breaking news, okay? And you can crucify me for that later. But
headline, he's not the devil.
But what I am very concerned about is ideology and philosophy that go against basic moral principles that Jewish, Muslim, Christians, and even non-believers can agree in. For example, life, respect for life. Can I tell you one simple example? The bishops of the United States of America had one of the greatest programs for helping women who are being trafficked. You know what the Health and Human Services did? They said, we're going to take away all of your money, but it's for good reason. The reason is, even though you've been the most successful group in stopping trafficking of women, you're not offering them abortion. So you know what? All federal funding is gone. That's ideology and philosophy that has transformed the nature of our country. That's a very, very bad thing.
Freedom of religion, and that goes to the contraception mandate. And they can spin this any way they want. The insurance company's paying for it, but it's really the Catholic Church, Catholic charities, Catholic hospitals, right?
And they're getting out of business. For example, in Boston, they're no longer in the business, in the service, in the ministry of adoption. Why? Because unless they send children to gay couples, they no longer get any of the services. They're out of it.
So
in Washington, D.C., the same thing.
All right,
that is a fundamental change in the way the United States of America operates as a country.
We'll take a break. We'll come back.